Good afternoon, everybody. This is Casey Roloff. I am the CEO and the co-founder with my wife, Laura, of Seabrook. We have a lot of new names and new people to Seabrook today. Today what we really want to focus on is a more analytical view of how things are going. Obviously, there's a lot of news, a lot of headlines right now that can be overwhelming. And a lot of people are asking themselves, well, is that now the right time to buy a beach house? There's a lot of people who are still interested in purchasing homes, but I thought I would just kind of answer some questions from a macro level to a micro level so that you have a better understanding of what the conditions are and can make a better decision if this turns out to be the right time for you to buy a beach house. So I'll just get started here. So first thing, again, we've got a lot of things going on, from inflation to the geopolitical climate, rising interest rates. The stock market has been, steadily decreasing, and then of course the real estate market is still continuing a strong surge. While it's slowing, the real estate market has stayed strong, and most people are predicting that it's going to stay pretty strong. It'll cool, but also, again, continue to stay strong. So just looking at it from just a US perspective, this is probably, for those of you who don't follow the economics behind housing, this really helps answer a lot of the questions on why there's so much demand right now for housing. This is actually back in 1970, showing the amount of houses built in 1970, about 1.4 million. And then you can see these highs and lows, and the red arrows are little recessions that have happened that will slow housing starts. And then, of course, what they call small hiccups. And then we saw the big drop in 2008 and 2009. Well, since then, you can see that the amount of inventory that's been built over the last 10 years has been, actually a little more than 10 years, has been very slow to come back. And so we basically have created a bunch of pent-up demand from a national perspective. And that's why the market has been, part of the reason the market's been so crazy these last couple of years. Obviously, interest rates are going up. But if you look historically, interest rates are still very, very low in comparison, and they're actually just getting back to more of a normal interest rate. You can see here, just from 2017 until January 22. I mean, there's not a lot of change from 18, 19, and then now, of course, it's increasing. But most people think that's going to flatten out, and once the inflation is under control. But the world really changed, obviously, with the pandemic. And the one thing that isn't going to go back to the way it was is the amount of flexibility that we have in our lives. The pandemic taught us all how to basically work from home, learn from home. And what that did was it created a ton of flexibility. So for people that had always thought about, should I own a beach house or should I just rent a beach house? It tipped a lot of the scales for people, because all of a sudden owning a second home or a vacation home became a lot more compelling. Or people are also saying, well, why don't I just live there? So a lot of people actually moved from more primary residence locations to these destinations and these places where we'd typically vacation. Now people are living there full time, and that wouldn't be possible without this paradigm shift in the way we work and the way we learn. Also, quality of life. While the pandemic was challenging for all of us, it really did have all of us step back and see what is important, with our family and our friends, and just quality time outdoors, in beautiful open spaces and natural spaces. It really just made us, again, think about how we wanted to live the rest of our life. And so a lot of people have found that living in these destinations or owning in one of these destinations is more attractive than ever. The other major trend that has continued to grow is the whole short-term rental market, which is fueled by Airbnb and VRBO. It was the strongest class in hospitality during the pandemic, and it's taken over from a scale perspective over hotels and other hospitality options. And the bottom line is we love renting homes and having multiple bedrooms, bathrooms, a full-size kitchen, all of those things. And that's also not going to go away. And that leads us more to a regional view, just looking at the state of Washington, and kind of just what's going on here in Washington. For one, Washington continues to be one of the strongest job markets in the country. A lot of jobs and a lot of high-paying jobs. And so destinations in the state of Washington are going to continue to be strong. And we don't see a slowdown because of the amount of jobs that are still coming into our state, and also the jobs that were already here before. So that's part of the reason we're still so bullish right now on just our state, and specifically more on Seabrook. Also, even with the inflation and with rising interest rates, there's still projected to be a 9.6% growth in home sales and a 7.5% growth in price looking year over year. Now, this is recent data on Seattle from Realtor.com. So while again things are cooling, they're also not. This year will still end up being the second biggest market, or as far as strength of a real estate market, in the last 15 years. So that kind of puts it in perspective. Again, cooling, but we're not going to see anything like we saw in 2008 or 2009, is what most real estate experts are predicting. So again, more specifically to Washington, we just have a lot of great companies and a lot of great jobs. And while stock is down in some of these high-tech companies, we think that's all going to come back. And again, most analysts are looking at it long-term, and Amazon and Google and Microsoft, Starbucks, these are all companies that have a lot of staying power, and we're very grateful to have that in our backyard here in Washington. And then getting now more specific to Seabrook, the fundamentals of Seabrook, especially for those of you who are new, the reason we picked this location back in 2002 when we found the land was because there was 5 times the household wealth and over double the population within a 3-hour drive when you compared to Cannon Beach. So Cannon Beach was the #1 coastal destination in Oregon, and most people from the Puget Sound that had more disposable dollars, they would drive an extra 2 hours down and an extra 2 hours back to have a really high quality coastal experience. So that's why we picked this location, because we saw the opportunity to cater to this huge pent-up demand for a coastal, high quality coastal town closer to the masses. More importantly, this is based on census data from 2000. There were 10 times as many lodging units on the Oregon coast versus the Washington coast. And so again, this is a situation, build it, they will come. So we're still way behind as far as building inventory for the state of Washington on the Pacific Ocean. And one of the big draws here is also our national park, and something that the Oregon coast doesn't have. So again, a huge opportunity was presented to us back in 2002 when we found this land, and thankfully we took the jump and took the chance, and it's been the best thing that we could have done. Now, this just speaks to the pent-up demand again in hospitality growth. So there will always be people purchasing second homes, but the one thing that is never going to go away is people coming out and renting homes as short-term rentals, and just having really great vacations and great experiences. And that's what Seabrook is really all about. That is the fuel to the engine. And you can just see the growth, steady growth from 2010. And this actually goes back to 2006. And it's one of the things that kept us, or I should say, made us so resilient through the last downturn, which I'll get to here in a few minutes. Also, investment perspective, about 60% of our owners purchase to put the house in the rental program when they're not using it themselves. Actually, we just did a recent survey with homeowners, and 70% of our homeowners, the main reason they're purchasing is for personal use, family time, time with friends, and then also a future retirement home. So most people that are buying here are not buying purely on investment, and that's a good thing. People are buying it because they love it. They love the experience. But then another 30% are buying as an investment, and then secondarily, it's for personal enjoyment. But that one of the things that's going to continue the strength here in our market is that short-term rental regulations are really being clamped down, and most of the I should say the most popular destinations, Walla Walla, Leavenworth, Chelan, just to name a few. And then along the Oregon coast, they're starting to really restrict short-term rentals and vacation rentals because it's very hard to manage when you're not on site. What's so unique about Seabrook is that we are on site, and we keep the harmony between full-time homeowners that live here and then also our guests that stay here. So that's one of the things that really sets us apart and also builds a lot of value in Seabrook and the real estate here in Seabrook. Another thing that's driving Seabrook is just the air quality. In the summertime, because we've had more fires, there are more people coming to the coast than ever because they're having to cancel their travel plans east of the mountains. And that's another headwind for just Northwest destinations that lends itself well to Seabrook. Some other things that are kind of driving more people to Seabrook, while most of us are flying again here and there, it's not as easy as it used to be. There's obviously a lot of security issues, and then of course now with the layer of COVID and having to jump those hoops as well. Which again, it's getting easier, but I have a feeling that that's going to come and go, and most people believe that. But it's also surged prices for air flight. And then a couple other things, that kind of make owning in the state of Washington can make it a little challenging is snow passes. If you own a house that's on the other side of a snow pass, that can be difficult sometimes to get there. And then also if you have a house in the San Juans or on an island, the ferries have become more and more unreliable over the years, which has, again, gotten a lot of people to move out towards Seabrook and experience it for the first time. So another big driver, and this is more of a national and international driver, is that staycations are here to stay. This is CEO Brian Chesky. He actually is a big believer in the domestic market and the drive-to market. Most people with more flexibility are going to have to spread their vacation dollars and their travel dollars out more. And so cutting out air travel and keeping it to drive to destinations is a trend that we're going to see for the long term, not something that's going to go away anytime soon. Again, more flexibility and working remotely has afforded so many people, again, this newfound freedom that we just didn't have before 2019. Seabrook is also in an opportunity zone for those that are looking for an investment, but also want to have some really great tax benefits. There's a small percentage of our buyers that are actually buying using the IRS regulations around opportunity zones, which does make you have to rent your house. You do have to rent it, and you also have personal use that's limited, but it is after 10 years of ownership. If you were to sell that property, 100% of the gains are tax-free. And I'm not giving you tax advice. You'd want to talk to your own CPA, but it's a really great tax benefit for those looking for opportunities to offset some of their investments and their tax liability. This is just showing 2021 versus 2022. We're already off to a much stronger 2022 than 2021. Again, you read the headlines, you might not think that's the case, but Seabrook's sales continue to be very strong, and we don't see that slowing down anytime soon, just because there is not a lot of inventory. We also, in the last 12 months, have sold about $83 million in real estate, which is a record for Seabrook. And again, right now we don't see the slowing. At some point, we'll see some cooling, but so far Seabrook is not seeing that, and I think it's because of a lot of the reasons I've already mentioned. And then some big game changers. Just looking at Seabrook's future. For people that are looking at living here full time, which is a lot of people looking here to live full time, either retire or even raise a family here, getting a full-size grocery store. We have an 11,000 square foot grocery store that's under construction. That's that left-hand picture. It is a beautiful building. It'll be one of our most iconic buildings on Main Street. And this is the size of about a Trader Joe's. And the architect that designed the interior designs the metropolitan markets and the PCC market. So this is going to be a first-class grocery store in Seabrook, and it's just going to make it more livable. The second thing is adding a medical center, and we were actually in meetings yesterday, getting that organized and the funding all put into place, so we can actually have an urgent care medical center within a mile of Seabrook. And then finally, the school. We've had a school here in Seabrook for the last 7 years, and we are planning expansion. We have expansion plans for that school. It is private, and we're really excited about just getting kids outdoors. We've had more of a Montessori philosophy over the past 7 years, but we see this being a really great hands-on learning opportunity for people that want their kids to be more outside and have more of an outdoor experience. Also, the food scene has really expanded here, from Cookies, which is our famous fried chicken place. If you haven't heard of them, they're actually one of the most popular food trucks in Seattle, and they did open a storefront in Ballard. Stowaway Wine Bar just had a major expansion. It's beautiful. Coco's just continues to just do really, really well in there. It's such great service, great food, great ambiance. And then Vista Bake Shop, a couple of Canlis alums, and then also actually a recent Seawolf Bakery alum that just moved here to help out with their expanding business. And then Rising Tides Tavern, another great establishment for Seabrook. And we also have a former Andante's hot dog stand employee who actually purchased one of Dante's not golf carts, but hot dog carts, and actually is running. It's called Smitty's Dogs, and it's basically like a Dante's. If you've had a Dante's hot dog, you know what I'm talking about. They're one of the best in Seattle. Another thing, when you're looking at different destinations, you want to look at how they performed in the most difficult times, and that's back in 2008 and 2009. And one of the things that really validates a lot of the things I've been talking about is just how well Seabrook performed during the downturn. We were one of the most resilient vacation home destinations in the country, and we got a lot of press because of that. And again, it just speaks to that supply and demand and that pent-up demand in the Puget Sound region. And that's only getting stronger the way we see it with the growth in the state of Washington and the jobs and so forth. And some of the keys to our resiliency is we pre-sell all of our homes. I should say most of the homes. I'd say 90+% of our homes. And that means that every house that you see under construction typically has 15% non-refundable deposits been made before the house starts. That's one of the things that, again, really kept us or had us avoid the speculative real estate investors that were buying in 2007. And I'm sure they're buying now, but that's a real barrier for a lot of people, especially investors, when you have to put 15% non-refundable before the house starts. We also have always built to the demand of the market rather than getting out way over our skis and just building more houses than we can sell. We've always done it very incrementally. There's also some big barriers to entry, just as far as like, there are no competitive properties to Seabrook. We have the most beautiful piece of land that's privately owned on the Washington coast, where we're up on a bluff. It's just a beautiful position, and there just isn't any more of this. And part of the reason is there's just not the sewer capacity and the public infrastructure in place to support a competitive location, where a lot of the markets around the Northwest, there are multiple competitive sites, and that drives values down, or keeps values more stagnant. One of the things that will continue to drive up the values in Seabrook are these barriers to entry. And then having the on-site hospitality program. And finally, the most important thing that makes Seabrook is our town center. When you think about the most valuable places in the world, let's just use the West Coast right now: Park City, Bozeman, Montana, La Jolla, Laguna Beach, Carmel, the places that have the best town centers, retail, shopping, restaurants, and entertainment. Those are the most desirable places on the West Coast. And that's exactly what we're doing in modern day. We're actually building an entire town center, and we're only about halfway there right now. So again, adding the grocery store and some of these other elements are gonna just make Seabrook more and more desirable as we complete the town center. And again, that drives up values as we grow that part of the business. So the question was, is it the right time to buy a beach house in Seabrook? And the answer is, the right time to buy is when it's the right time to buy for you. We always want people that are buying in Seabrook to be financially prepared. We want it to be a place that they really fall in love with. That's really the driver of Seabrook, is that this is a place that people really want to be and want to be a part of the community. And again, do your homework. If you're thinking about buying, you're thinking about other places, definitely do your homework about, again, how did it perform in more challenging times with interest rates rising, things like that. And that's the best way to make a long-term investment. It's always been said that if you're buying real estate, you want to buy for at least 10 years. And we're not, people that are buying here, they're looking at the long-term purchase, not the next 2, 3, 4 years. They're looking at a long-term, and hopefully a lot of our families are planning to pass these houses down to other family members or their loved ones. So that's what's important to us, and that's what also continues to drive Seabrook. And for those of you who are still considering purchasing this summer, we have a great new neighborhood that we're going to be releasing. It's called East Haven. Right now, the South Farm has been the area that we've been selling, and it's almost sold out. There are a few houses left in the South Farm, but we're, again, very excited to release East Haven. We have some really large home sites. So for people that want big gardens, these are actually garden lots. They will allow, having lawns and, again, big gardens, even swimming pools, because they have the space for them. But these are going to be, again, beautiful sites. And this entire neighborhood connects right into our mountain bike trail system, which is on public land, Department of Natural Resources land. Anybody that rides a mountain bike absolutely loves these trails. We're expanding more, not just on the DNR land, but all throughout Seabrook, both mountain biking trails and hiking trails. So they'll be they'll have separate trails that are specifically for mountain biking and hiking, but we'll also have multimodal trails that you can walk or bike on as well. So this is just zooming in on the East Haven homes. There'll be a lot of variety, from small little cabins to, again, some large homes around the square. This corner here is going to have a retail element. The plan is for it to be a clubhouse for the pickleball court. We're also talking about a spin studio and a yoga studio that would be connected, and 6 new pickleball courts. So a very social, active place. It would also have some food and beverage component. And then one of our largest parks in Seabrook here. This will have kind of a pastoral look and feel to it. And then again, you can see these larger home sites that we'll be releasing. And then some of the houses, I think some of these are actually available right now. and some of these might not be, but if you are interested in again pursuing a house in Seabrook and being a part of our new town, these are all great options. It really just depends on what you're looking for, what specifics. So we do have some questions that I want to try to answer, and I'll do my best to answer as many as possible. And for those that I don't answer, I will make sure that our sales team will reach back out to you and make sure you get those answers. So, so what size and style of homes will be released in East Haven? Again, this has a more kind of bucolic kind of look and feel. If you've taken my town tour and learned about urban planning, the further you get away from the town center, the more country and more natural the spaces get. And so the architecture will also reflect that, and the landscape will reflect that. So more elbow room, more open space, more natural amenities in the East Haven neighborhood. Next question is, I heard about an outdoor pool. When is that going to be, or where is that going to be? That's actually in the South Farm, so not far from East Haven. I'm just going to see if I can. So if you can see this map here, it's kind of off here to the left. So this is probably just a few minute walk from East Haven, and a minute or two on your bike to get to the new pool facility. That's actually under construction, and will be ready by this time next year going into the summer. Next question is, what can you buy within the qualified opportunity zone? This is the tax the tax benefit that I was talking about earlier. You can only buy new construction. So one of the rules with the IRS guidelines for the qualified opportunity zone is that it has to be new construction and it hasn't been rented before. So the whole idea of the QOZ is that it's putting investment dollars into new construction, which creates jobs in the area of that qualified opportunity zone. So if you are thinking about a qualified opportunity zone, you need to buy new construction. And we also have a gentleman that we can send you to talk. He's a tax attorney, and he can answer more of those detailed questions. He's been really helpful with our homeowners. Next question is, can you build a custom home? And the answer is any of our home sites can be purchased, and you can do your own design, hire your own architect, even your own builder. Some people, we have actually home builders that have purchased lots and they're building their own homes, or they know of a builder that wants to come out and build their home. That's something that we actually encourage. So we always want to, again, see more variety in the architecture and the detailing of the houses, and so we really encourage that side of it. I think there's at least one more question. So can Casey talk about the expansion plans for South Farm, like amenities, gym, pool? So the new swimming pool actually is going to have the new gym, and that's under construction. And then the other thing that we're also working on in the South Farm, that's kind of between the East Haven neighborhood and the South Farm, is a new little cafe that will also be attached to the spa. And so we're working on those plans right now. And that'll be kind of a central hub where you can go and get a morning coffee or a pastry or something for lunch, and possibly even something in the evening. But that is something that we're really focused on right now, getting the plans and the operators happy with those plans, so we can announce that. So again, not an official announcement, but we are talking about, or not talking about, we're pretty serious about getting this spa and this cafe in this South Farm location. Next question is, when will these home sites be available? So we're planning on releasing the first release in July, and then there will also be a release in August, and there'll be a mix of houses from smaller to medium size to larger houses in that release. The next question was, how long of a walk is it from East Haven to the beach? It's a good question. it's probably like a 20-minute walk to the beach. It'd be 15 to 20 minutes on a bicycle, and a lot of people are getting electric bicycles out here, and you've probably seen the ones that you can carry a whole family on them. They're pretty amazing. We're going to be seeing more and more of those out here because it really gives you, again, a lot more flexibility to get into town. But yeah, it's about 15 to 20 minute walk to the beach, but probably less than a 5-minute bike ride into the town center and the beach. So one more question here, and then I'll let you all go. And anything that I haven't answered, we'll make sure we get answers. So do homeowners pay a monthly HOA? And do homeowners have access to the indoor pool? Yes, all homeowners have access to the pools and the amenities, but only the guests that rent through Seabrook Hospitality have access to those same amenities. And which is why, part of the reason why 95% of the homes are rented through Seabrook Hospitality. And then the homeowners dues, it's actually called a common area maintenance due. Good question. I want to make sure I get the right answer, but I think it's in the upper 200s, almost $300 a month. But don't quote me on that. I know it's right in that vicinity, but the sales team can get you a more specific answer on that. So anyway, appreciate you guys joining me for this lunchtime webinar. And I hope I answered a lot of the questions. If I didn't answer your questions with this webinar, please reach out to our sales team. Holly, Megan, Belinda, they are fabulous in helping people find the right beach house for them. So again, thanks for taking the time, and hopefully we'll see you at the beach. Bye-bye.